pilots of the U.S. Air Force are young men, usually in a hurry, and they're apt to be here today, the other side of the world tomorrow. Like these 6 pilots studying a chart here at George Air Force Base, Victorville, California. A few hours from now, the good Lord and the airplanes willing, they'll be in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, a matter of some 2,325 miles away. But it should be noted, this is not just a routine mission. It's the famed transcontinental speed dash, the Bendix Trophy Event, held annually in conjunction with the National Aircraft Show. Six men, 6 airplanes. And this year, they're North American F-100 Super Sabres, but fast. A demonstration under competitive conditions of the skill and training of the United States Air Force pilots and the fine degree of readiness which the Air Force maintains in planes and equipment to meet any emergency. That's how Bendix President Malcolm P. Ferguson defines this contest, which began in 1931 as a free-for-all, but is now restricted to U.S. service jet airplanes. Well, it's almost time to travel and put Horace Greeley's famous advice in reverse. Go east, young man, go east. But instead of rumbling across the prairie in Conestoga wagons, these 20th century pioneers ride swept-wing jets, 5 miles above the earth, faster than the speed of sound. Time, as they say, marches on. Number 1 on the line, ready to go. The rest will follow at 10-minute intervals. The winner to be determined on the basis of elapsed time, including a stop for refueling. And that signals him officially on his way. The clock is ticking. The 2,325-mile race against time has begun. Super Sabre FW744, departing George Air Force Base, California, at 13:12 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. But even now, the National Aircraft Show is in progress. Air Power 56 on display as the aviation industry, the Department of Defense, and the armed services join in another report to the nation on aircraft progress. And this year's National Aircraft Show at Philadelphia International Airport is the biggest and best ever. What's new? Well, here in Navy territory, the helicopter is a feature attraction. This is the Retriever, used for search and rescue work. The Penguin is not standard equipment. One of Navy's more advanced performers is its first operational swept-wing fighter, the F9F Cougar. On hand to answer questions about military aircraft on display are pilots who know and fly them. And on hand to ask the questions are the kids who impatiently wait the day when they'll know and fly them. In 1775, the Marine Corps was founded in Philadelphia, so the show is a homecoming for the Leathernecks. Displayed here is a Marine jet fighter, the North American Fury. Marines are using helicopters too, mainly for transport of troops and supplies. Heavy equipment is air freighted in their big flying boxcars. Currently raising military interest are some new types of vertical rising aircraft. This first jet-powered model has variable position engines under the wings, making both vertical and horizontal flight possible. Designed less for speed than for endurance is Navy's S2F-1 Subkiller. Like most carrier-based aircraft, it has folding wings. The biggest crowd stopper in the Navy exhibit is an odd-looking fighter interceptor by chance bought, the Cutlass. The camel-back cockpit forward gives it a bug-like appearance. Elevators provide both longitudinal and lateral control. And it really moves. 2 jet engines produce a top speed of 650 miles an hour in level flight. Remember when? During World War I, this Sopwith Camel was a going airplane. Today, it's a museum piece, especially compared to a modern jet like the Douglas Skyhawk beside it. Biggest aircraft show ever, we said, and it is that, with more than a mile of the latest military aircraft on display. Round about these parts where the Air Force has its insignia up, we'll find the big ones, the Globe Travelers, that give our Air Force hard-hitting, striking power with a range that includes all the world. Our B-47, the first jet bomber, is a good example. With air-to-air refueling, it has unlimited range and flies routine missions to every overseas Air Force base. The B-47 is a big airplane, 200,000 pounds, but a three-man crew flies it. For troop and cargo transport, the Globemaster. And fighter bombers provide basic tactical striking power. And then there's the B-36, largest conventional aircraft in Air Force operation today. Now let's see what's new in Army aviation. The parachute packing demonstration is interesting, and it's also an indication of changing tactical thinking. Aerial movement of troops, supplies, and equipment has given our ground forces a new mobility, needed mainly because of recent advances in weapons and technology. Even a Jeep can be airmailed these days. It can go via Air Force cargo carrier if it's a long haul. Or for local operations, the Army has its own specialized aircraft for transporting troops and equipment. The helicopter is well suited to this purpose and is often used in combination with light, rugged airplanes like the L-19. Among the new weapons influencing tactical planning are guided missiles. This is the Douglas Nike, a surface-launched anti-aircraft weapon. It can be operated from fixed or mobile battery installations, and the entire system is transportable by air. Even in an age of great scientific advances, Nike is remarkable. Equipped with explosive warhead and radar guided, it can intercept and destroy an approaching enemy aircraft. Army airplanes are of conventional design, like this twin-engined Beech L-23. The helicopters, too, are built to withstand rugged field use, which may be why the hard-working H-25 is nicknamed the Army Mule. The Bell H-13 helicopter is reported to have carried more than 20,000 wounded during the Korean War, proving the speed of helicopter evacuation to be an important life-saving factor. The H-13 pilot sits enclosed in this plastic bubble, which permits unobstructed viewing. We seem to have acquired a passenger, and a reluctant one at that. Well, if she doesn't like sitting in this helicopter, maybe she'd rather see it perform in the helicopter square dance, which is going to open the program as the air show gets underway. Let's listen as the announcer makes the introductions.
And now to further demonstrate the frisky maneuvering of helicopters, we proudly present the famous Army Aviation Square Dance Team, which will perform an old-fashioned square dance. Today's strike up a tune. Caller, take over.
The famous square dancers are taking their bows and are called to their places. The caller is ready, and here they go.
Ladies and gentlemen, back to the bar with the right-hand side. Form them down with the right back volume, do, keep the number of bending down low. Step to heel, save your toe, meet your down, and guide go, watch your step, point, fall down, then to the running, round and round. Swing your butt, your high and low, swing really high and slow, from the name, round you go, up your heel, and save so. One foot up and one foot down, like a jaybird walking on frozen ground. Up the river and around the bend, all join hands, going again.
Now bow your outfits across the hall. Thank you, boys, for giving your all. The Army Aviation Square Dance Team and their amusing but convincing demonstration of helicopter maneuverability. But now, out at Army Field Headquarters, some activity closer to the real thing is about to begin.
We'll introduce you to Army planes and Army pilots. To the men and the aircraft that guide and support your fighting Army on the ground.
This is the start of a simulated battle maneuver to demonstrate Army aviation in action. The L-19, now passing, has been directing and observing artillery bombardment of this enemy area. The first troops arrive in a big assault transport helicopter. They are the Pathfinders, an advance party for the helicopter-borne assault to follow. They are specially trained to assist Army aircraft in the accurate and efficient delivery of men and equipment by air landing or parachute. The first of the helicopters bringing the main body of troops is guided to a landing and quickly unloads. Meanwhile, the artillery commander reconnoiters for gun positions using an H-13, which is as versatile in battle maneuvers as it is in the square dance. 75mm howitzers are then moved into the area by H-19 helicopters rigged with cargo slings. The new look in military tactics is apparent even in this token operation. The long arm of airlift admits no obstacles of terrain, reaches right past river and mountain, jungle and desert, to achieve this new mobility in our ground force operations. Without the helicopter, that fine record of medical evacuation in Korea would have been impossible. The lifeblood of any attack is timely resupply. Without needed ammunition, food, water, and weapons, it's doomed to failure. But all reliable, the Army Mule can deliver supplies without even making a landing, if the situation requires. Or the delivery can be made by L-19s, also on the fly. Then, if the situation calls for a knockout punch, we have that too, the atomic artillery shell. And with that, the enemy is ours. And this impressive demonstration of Army's technological air-ground development is concluded. At Air Show Operations Headquarters, progress reports on the Bendix Trophy Event have been coming in. The first of the F-100s that left California less than 4 hours ago is nearing Philadelphia.
Toward the west. Just about 2 minutes out now. This is number 3. Ladies and gentlemen, we are informed, coming in now, he's about 1.5 minutes out. He's doing over 600 miles an hour. 2 of them, ladies and gentlemen, coming in, very close together. They're coming in, ladies and gentlemen, right across the airport here. 20 miles an hour.
This first finisher in the Bendix Transcontinental Speed Dash left George Air Force Base in California 3 hours, 48 minutes, and 24 seconds ago, averaging over 610 miles an hour, including a fuel stop. And according to the announcer, it's Colonel Carlos M. Talbott of Foster Air Force Base. He knows his lucky numbers, but right now he's interested in how the others are doing. And here's one of them. The second man to finish is Captain Wallace McCafferty of George Air Force Base. They're glad to be here after battling headwinds most of the way. But in spite of the weather, the winning speed was close to supersonic at jet flight altitudes. Third to finish, FW765, is Colonel Maurice Long. He averaged better than 592 miles an hour. And number 4, Captain Alvin Moorman. On elapsed time, Talbott is the winner, Moorman is second. We'll see them get their trophies after the Navy show, which is next on the program. The speaker who will introduce the Navy events is Commander Bart Slattery, publisher of Naval Aviation News.
In the moments to follow, we will try to show you, in an abbreviated way, something of the power, scope, and importance of naval aviation. Principal element of naval aviation is, of course, the high-speed aircraft carrier. We're most fortunate in being able to show to the people of Philadelphia and to the thousands of visitors to the National Aircraft Show one of these proud fighting ladies. Anchored at the pier directly ahead is the USS Ticonderoga. Today, for the first time, you will have an opportunity to see jet aircraft launched from the carrier while she is tied up at a pier. It has been done in the past with reciprocating engine aircraft, and there he is, the first F-100, the first Cutlass into the air. He traveled about 100 feet on the catapult, and in that space of time, there's the second one, the Grumman twin-engine, first carrier-based aircraft to combine the elements of submarine search and attack in one aircraft. Both of them in the air almost simultaneously.
The force of the catapult being demonstrated is rated at 33 million foot-pounds, power enough to launch the family car 8,000 feet into the air. Now, coming for a simulated carrier landing, here's the Cutlass. The resting gear is set up on the runway to stop him, as it would on a carrier. He has the wire. He made the landing. Next, passing in review, two Grumman S2F-1s. Those are the sub-killers. And a formation flyby of Martin P-5M2s, the Marlin, designed for patrol and anti-submarine duties. Another formation flyby of Lockheed P-2B7 Neptunes, a radar-equipped patrol bomber. Coming by solo, the Douglas A-3D Sky Warrior, Navy's jet-powered attack bomber in the 650-mile-an-hour class. A little while ago, we saw a demonstration of Army's new mobility. Well, it's typical of Marine operations, too. The two helicopters are about to airlift a structure called the Geodetic Dome Shelter. It's a sturdy, lightweight, transportable shelter suitable for all types of climates where a Marine might be called upon to fight, from the equator to the polar regions. The nature of this new shelter development makes it possible to move an entire encampment in a few hours, and that's for the Marines, who are always on the go. The U.S. Marines have fought in every war, and when they took to the air in World War I, they were quickly tagged Flying Leathernecks. Later, in the Nicaraguan campaign of 1926, they pioneered air supply of troops and were the first to try dive bombing techniques. Here, Marine aviation demonstrates typical air support given to fleet forces during landing operations, as well as to troop activities in the field. The United States Marines, today as always, a force in readiness. And if an aggressor strikes, we'll hear it again, the Marines have landed, situation well in hand. The results of the Bendix Trophy Event have been confirmed, and the finishing pilots are gathered for the trophy presentation. Mr. Bill Mara of Bendix will make the presentation.
Which each year is given to the winner of the internationally known cross-country race, the Bendix Trophy Race. Mr. Mara.
Colonel Talbott, on behalf of the Bendix Aviation Corporation, it gives me a great deal of pleasure to present you with the Bendix Trophy, emblematic of aviation progress since 1931. Your name will now be inscribed alongside those of previous Bendix winners. I think you'll find that they almost constitute a who's who in aviation, beginning with General Jimmy Doolittle, who won the trophy first in 1931. In flying a North American F-100C, powered by a Pratt & Whitney J-57 turbojet engine across the country, in 3 hours and 48 minutes, you have demonstrated the precision flying and teamwork of our military air arm and the aviation development which the Bendix Trophy was designed to foster. Colonel Talbott, may I present the Bendix Trophy to you?
A nice hand for Colonel Carlos Talbott, a West Pointer and World War II veteran with 88 missions in the European theater of operations. A credit to his service and his country. Your United States Air Force salutes you with a demonstration of the offensive and defensive air strength of the nation and of the alert readiness of our three major fighting forces: Air Defense Command, Strategic Air Command, and Tactical Air Command. The two Lockheed Starfires taking off are participating in an intercept mission known as a scramble, with the object of destroying an imaginary attacking enemy force before it reaches the objective. Also concerned with early warning radar capability and intercept are the four airplanes now approaching. Leading the formation is the RC-121 Flying Radar Station, escorted by intercept fighters of Air Defense Command. The responsibility for gaining air superiority, supporting surface forces, and executing sustained offensive and defensive operations falls to Tactical Air Command. These C-119 flying boxcars play an important part in getting the job done. In actual operation, they deliver paratroopers to target areas or airdrop supplies to troops on combat missions. For bigger and heavier transport chores, TAC uses these Douglas Globemasters, which are able to haul such extremely heavy cargo as 155mm guns, M24 tanks, and big heavy-duty airfield construction equipment. On the runway now, and starting its takeoff roll, is one of Strategic Air Command's B-47 Stratojet bombers. This is to be a JATO, or Jet Assist Takeoff Demonstration. The B-47, now in its steep takeoff climb, weighs about 200,000 pounds. Use of JATO reduces the takeoff runway requirement by roughly 2,000 feet. Strategic Air Command has globe circling range, and here's one reason why. Air-to-air refueling, as demonstrated by this Strato tanker refueling a B-47. Now, making its first public show appearance, a flyby, Command's new cargo plane, the Lockheed C-130 Hercules. Also, from Air Research and Development Command, the McDonnell F-101 Voodoo, newest Air Force supersonic fighter. And at the end of the preview parade, a trio of Convair Delta Wing supersonic interceptors. And finally, here come the heavyweights, B-36s, long-range heavy bombers capable of reaching targets anywhere in the world. B-47s, Strategic Air Command's swift, far-ranging jet bombers. And mightiest of them all, the magnificent B-52 Stratofortress, the largest and heaviest jet airplane ever built. So ends another report to the nation, written boldly across the blue skies of Philadelphia, birthplace of American independence. A report on America's progress in the air and a prophecy of greater things to come. Air power that is peace power, to keep our country strong and keep our people free.